You know, when I was a kid, every afternoon, well, maybe not every afternoon, like during Halloween season. I know we're past Halloween season by now, but back then, during Halloween season and after in the afternoons, usually around the weekends, most of us kids, we would watch this show called Magandang Gabi Bayan here in the Philippines. It translates to Good Evening Nation. And usually it's news. Usually it's about news that's happening all over the Philippines, from news about new politicians, showbiz news. Sometimes it's about crimes that happen. But during the Halloween season, it would always be about scary stories. We would hear about ghosts, aswangs, that's the Filipino word for vampire or werewolf, that sort of thing. And seriously, when I was a kid, like this was back, I think 1992 to 1998, they seriously scared me. I mean, looking back on all that stuff now, as an adult, I find a lot of that stuff just funny now. Like the tikbalang, the tick that hides in the forest and they get you lost by using illusions of some kind, or the capre, it's a giant that sits in trees and smokes a big cigar, and sometimes he captures people, like the fairies or fair folk of various mythologies all over the world, wherein they see a person they like and they grab them and take them away to their world. So that really scared me as a kid. And in school, we kids, we scared each other with those stories. Now remember, this was the time before most of us even had computers, let alone smartphones. So we would scare each other with stories like, oh boy, I heard one night we were visited by an aswang. We saw the silhouette of an old woman at our window. Stuff like that. Or ghost of a man was in the corner of my room watching me all night. That was some of the stories I can remember when we were kids. So lots of things are scary as a kid. I already mentioned this when I made the video about Stephen King's It. So this time, I'm covering a tabletop RPG that's all about our fears when we were children. Little Fears, Nightmare Edition. A Game of Childhood Terror by Jason Blair. But before we continue, for all of you listening out there, first I want you to know that this is an unscripted video. So you probably heard me make a lot of mistakes already, so please bear with me there. But also, I'd like to invite you all to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications so that you'll know what's new. And yeah, this is new. Little Fears. Actually, I've been looking for this game for quite some time now, but I've been looking for this game since 2013, because I heard that Little Fears is about, childhood fears. Even then, I was already a big fan of World of Darkness. I was a big fan of Changeling the Lost and Promethean the Created, so on. I think they renamed it to Chronicles of Darkness now, because there's a difference between the old World of Darkness and the new World of Darkness. Heck, I don't know. So anyway, this one is a lot like it's a lot like World of Darkness, but it focuses primarily on children. World of Darkness also has its own campaign system for children. It's called Innocence, but I'll be tackling that some other time. Sorry, guys. So anyway, this is Little Fears Nightmare Edition. This is their latest creation by Jason Blair. And as you can see, it is for kids. So let's start. So when you're a kid, there really are a lot of things that are scary. So, I mean, like I said, I mentioned this already in a previous video, the one with It, Stephen King's It, and I told you guys that when I was a kid, I'd listen all night for furtive noises, and that's what this is what this game is about. It's about being a kid, and you're besieged by all these scary monsters. So in this game's lore, everything is otherwise normal, but it's a lot like our world. And the creator, the author, Jason Blair, I guess, he mentions that we can place it anyway. I guess I can hold a campaign here in the Philippines if I want to. But it's almost like our world, almost completely normal, but there is something out there that is different. For example, there is what they call closet land. And this is where you can find all the monsters. Yeah, that's where they lurk. And only children of a certain age, like the players are all kids below the age of 13, because once a kid hits 13, whatever power that allows them to see into this dimension called closet land kind of closes up. So from 13 onward, they become more and more like adults. So by then, they can no longer be part of this world called closet land. And closet land is a dimension that is influenced by human beliefs and ideas. So it becomes what it is because of what people believe in. And yes, belief plays a principal part in this game. It's like it's a lot like It. You know, this is why I love this game so much, is because it really is a lot like Stephen King's It, wherein if a child believes that his toy can hurt a certain monster, that monster will be hurt. It's his belief that affects the monster. Understand? The older a child gets, the less belief that child has. And the less belief they have, the less influence they will have on the monster. So a kid of 6 can hurt a monster real good, but a child of, say, 12, he can't hurt the monster as much anymore. And the monster is definitely scarier. And I'm gonna get to that. Adults are a completely different story altogether, in that adults, having lost most of their belief already, they can no longer hurt monsters. So they can no longer hurt monsters, and they can't see them either. Now there are people who can still see the monsters in this game, adults, but they're few and far between, and to most of them, the monsters have become invisible. So it's a huge problem for them as well. So here's an example of, like right here. But yeah, I was going to get to the fact that the kids aren't alone in their fight. So, like here, there are good people. There's the light man. He's a man made completely of light, and he leaves behind these insects that are like fireflies that is designed to eat away at the darkness. Like, instead of, when kids are trapped in the darkness, the light man can destroy. Yeah, he eats darkness, can destroy the darkness. It becomes lighter and lighter. There is also the blue angel, who's an actual angel. I don't know if the blue angel is an angel from heaven, literally, but it protects kids from monsters. So that's one thing. The other is, here's another character, Mother. Mother is a being. It has a being of pure emotion, and her ability is to open, like she opens doors. She lets people into the dimension of Closet Land. And the other one is the Army of St. Nicholas. These people are actual adults who still have an idea. Like they still have memories of when they were kids and they know the monsters are real. But their problem is, since they're adults now, a lot of the things that are happening they can't see anymore. And they're also vulnerable to the monsters because they lack the belief necessary to fight them. So okay, now that we've got that down, let's go with the basics of the game. So the basics of the game is stuff that we'll need for play. Okay, wait a minute. Stuff that we'll need are pencils and along with the carrots, a good idea to have a pencil and own set of 6-sided dice, you know, the D6 dice. 10 dice should be fine, see there? You need at least 10 dice to play this game. You need pencil and paper. The reason why you'll prefer to use pencil is because pencils are easy to erase when you make mistakes. So that's what it's for. Like when you make a big mistake with writing your stats and stuff like that. Now let's move on to character creation. Okay, wait, let's see where that is. So play basics, scenes and rounds, one-on-one, right here, to be young again. So this game gives you a set of stats and qualities. So wait, let me show you how all this works. Oops. Okay. You have 5 main stats. These are move. This represents your character's speed, how fast they can run when a monster shows up, for example. Fight, how good they are at fighting. Then think, these are for your smart kids. Speak, for those kids that are good at talking and talking to others and sometimes lying to people when they need to. Next, you have care. Care is like charisma in Dungeons and Dragons, but it also works with healing people. So now here, like it says here, you take the good and you take the bad. So your character can think, like for example, I can think fast when I'm alone. Bad, it's hard for me to think when there are a lot of people. That's an example. So another group of examples I'll show you are here, like move. I can move well when I'm running. And then it's hard for me to move when handling small objects. In fight, I can fight well when the person is smaller than me. A bully? Yeah. It's hard for me to fight when they're bigger than me. So he's a bully. Okay. So more like that. Care. Last example. I can care well when it's about animals. He's an animal lover. It's hard for me to care when I'm angry. So I guess that's a character that's easily angered. Then you have they have sort of archetypes here. Wait a minute, I'm going to show you. So not archetypes, concepts. You have the cowgirl, like they grew up in a farm. The jock, the big kid in school. The natural born leader, the outcast, the princess or prince, like the rich girl or the rich boy. The troublemaker, the delinquents and stuff like that. You see them remember a video game called Rival Schools? They had something like that. And then the whiz kid, the genius kids. So you have just about everything here. But you can also come up with your own concepts. Now let's get to how this game actually works. So you use the dice you have for. So for example, your character. Okay, So for example, your character has a think score of 4, and you roll 2d6, two six-sided dice, to see how well he performs. So, for example, okay then, let's make an example. For example, your character is trying to run from a monster. The monster is moderately fast, so you'll have a DC, or its equivalent in this game, of 10. And yeah, I have to tell you that it's the game master who will decide on the DC of things. They will decide what number you have to beat. So yeah, so your DC is 10 because the monster is kind of fast too, but your character is also fast, so it's 4. You roll the dice, you roll your two six-sided dice, and it comes up like maybe 8. So you get a 12. Success! You outrun the monster. It's how that works. Oops. Or the same thing, like DC, but maybe 12, because your character is fighting the monster, versus your character is kind of a weak kid, so he gets 2. Then you roll your dice, but your character is unlucky and you only get a 4 out of that. So he gets a 6. Failure. And the monster damages him. But don't sweat. You do have some stuff here that will change things. Like, for example, there's what they call open-ended 6s. Wait, let me show you how that works. Open-ended 6s. Rounds turn, setting up games. The power of belief. The kid's got spirit. Okay, I don't think it's in here, but okay. So this game uses something what they call exploding dice. I know it sounds weird, right? But it's what I mean by open-ended 6s. So, like, here's what happens. So yeah, here we go. Open-ended 6s. Open-ended 6s. In every case, you re-roll any 6s that came up and add that new number to your total. You can keep rolling as long as 6s come up, but stop once any other number appears on the die. So here's, for example, so you have DC 15 because you're trying to outthink the monster. So your character isn't really that smart. They have just a 3. They just have a 3 for their think ability. But then you roll a 6. Yes, I know that's just equal to 9, and that doesn't beat DC 15. But because you rolled a 6, you get to roll your dice again. And you get lucky. You roll another 6. So now you have what? 15. But because you rolled another 6, it means you can roll again. But this time, you only roll 5. So you can't roll another 6 because you just rolled a 5 this time. But that's high enough. That is equal to, what's that? 15, you get a 20. Success. Because you add more 6s, you succeed in beating the monster. So you outthink the monster this time. So yeah, that's how this game works. There are other aspects to this game, like the type of monsters you'll be facing, the type of places you'll be visiting. But for now, I guess that should be enough as an introduction to Little Fears by... wait. Jason Blair. So, yeah. Anyway, like I said, if you enjoy my content and you like this one in particular, feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. And I'll see you all again in the next video. But don't worry, this isn't the last you'll see of Little Fears. I think I'll go in depth into this game sometime soon.